Well, happy Sunday morning. It's Sunday with Scotty and Ellery because Raini is still at camp. Say good morning in your most excited, exuberant, confident voice ever.
Hi.
Hi. There it is. I've heard you much more confident and excited, and I got to put my ring on from washing dishes. I was already up washing dishes this morning. How about that? When mom is gone, we like mom to come back to a nice house, don't we? Clean house. Clean with all your stuff picked up. So, how are you all this morning? It's a Sunday morning. It's a nice day here. Audrey, good to see you. I got your congratulations. Can I talk about your new position? So, she's got the funnest job at the happiest place in the world. Where do you think she's working when I say the happiest place in the world?
Abby and Bryn's Mermaid Shop.
Abby and Bryn's Mermaid Shop. No, that's the next happiest place in the world then.
Where?
Disneyland. She got a job at Disneyland. Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to say
Can I
that
go to
yet.
Disneyland for free now?
the operator, Audrey. Can I go to Disneyland for free now? Hey, Chuck Hendrickson, good morning. Good to see you. Happy Sunday morning. Roger Rabbit, good to see you over there. Matthew Sainsbury. He says, I'm hanging in here early this morning. There was serious thunderstorms. All right, well, you are on an island in the Caribbean, so I suppose that's pretty normal. Oh, Audrey can't stay, so maybe she can't answer that question I posed. David Otness, good to see you. Ramelian, good to see you. Who else is here this morning already? And I think that's it. I think I've covered everybody that's live in the chat room. So what are you going to do today while I'm doing radio?
Play Roblox.
Do what?
Play Roblox.
Okay, you're going to play on Mom's computer?
Yeah. You
Okay.
don't have Roblox on your computer.
I don't, and I'm on my computer anyway. So, how's everybody's week been? And of course, the phone is wait. That's my dad. Why don't you pick that up? Say hi, Grandpa. Tell him I'm on the radio right now.
Hi.
You on the radio, Scott? Did I call you at a bad time?
I am, Dad. It's not a bad time. I just started my radio show for Sunday morning.
What time do you want me to call you back?
I'll call you as soon as I'm off of here.
Sorry. Talk to you later.
No problem. Bye. That was my dad. So, anyway, my dad is not computer savvy. He's in his early 80s. And, I mean, he can get his email and stuff like that. And he checks my stuff out every now and then. But he's not overtly savvy with how to get around places. Hey, could you turn that big overhead off, please? I had it off because it's too bright. It's morning. It's too bright. Hey, Spirit Heart. Good to see you. I had to grab my coffee first, too. It's already, it's my second cup, and it's already starting to cool and mellow. By the way, folks, if you want one of these, you can get one. Now, Raini and I haven't made any of these up yet with her stuff, but we can do these in-house. I've also got them over on my Etsy page. And that is, I should put that banner up. If you look down there, that Etsy page is right there. Etsy.com/shop/son-of-a-patriot. If you want to get your own Intrepid radio mug. I've done Intrepid Paradigm, Intrepid Magazine, and now Intrepid Radio. It's always been Intrepid Radio. So there it is. Get your own coffee mug. You can join us every Sunday morning with your own very own Intrepid mug. All right. So I've got a ton of things coursing through my brain this morning, and I'm just wondering what it is that is stuff that you have on your mind. And I got to call up a couple of things here that I wanted to talk about. And I saw a couple of posts, well, many posts really, over the last several days of, and you see it yourself. If you're on social media at all, you see a lot of posts where people are posting about things that they regret, things that they're sad they didn't do this thing earlier, or old loves they wish they had never let die or pursue harder, or choices they've made. I'm reminded once again, of course, of the Star Trek, a movie this time, not rated as one of the best of their movies, but the one with the God being in the starship. And what does God need with a starship? That one, Star Trek 5? Or was it 6? I can't remember. And I don't even remember which one it was. But there is a character in there who could take away your past pains so you could live a fuller, better, happier life. And when it comes to Kirk, he says, I can take away your pain too. That's not a direct quote from the movie, but Kirk's answer is, I don't want to lose my pain. I need my pain. In essence, and to paraphrase him, he says, my pains are the things that have made who I am, made me into who I am. I don't want to go back and wish I had turned left when I should have turned right, he says. Those are decisions I made, and whether for the good or the bad, they have made me who I am. Now, we all have things. When we talked about time travel off and on over the last couple of weeks, there are times I've thought about, if you could go back and change anything in your past, would you? Was one of the questions that came up with Professor Bauer when we were talking about this. And there are things that over the years I have wished I could have gone back and changed. Regrets that I had, stupid mistakes I made. Things where I maybe it wasn't a stupid mistake, maybe it's just something I just didn't do the way I should have done, or didn't pursue something the way I should have pursued it. It's like there are times I think, boy, there was this woman I was in love with, and I know she was in love with me, but our circumstances were one where it wasn't something that could be pursued, or we just chose not to pursue at the time. And I'm talking way back in my college days and my 20s, and you think, what would life have been like had I pursued that, if I could go back and pursue that? But then I look at all the things I have because I didn't make that choice. Now, perhaps there's a plethora, a whole cornucopia, if you will, of things that would have been amazing things that happened in my life if I had pursued that path. But because of the path I'm on, because of the choices I've made, because of the mistakes I've made, because of the regrets I have, and the wonderful mountaintop experiences I've had, all of those things add up to where I am now. If I could go back and change something 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, would I be married to the woman I'm married to now? Would I have the children I have now? If I had pursued something differently with somebody else 40 years ago when I was in college, yeah, that was 40 years ago I was in college, would I have the children I have now? And so you look at it, and I still, and I've quoted it, not to exaggerate, but at least 1,000,000 times on this show over the years, my mantra from Mark Twain, who said, 20 years from now, you'll regret more the things you didn't do than the things you did do. I think he actually said, you'll be more disappointed in the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So, loose the bowlines, cast away from the safe harbor, set your sails to the trade winds, explore, dream, discover. You can't change what you didn't do or did do. All you can do is live in the now, in the moment. Be awake and be aware that you're here and now, and this is the only time you have. Or as Professor Bauer says, All we have is the future from this moment forward. That's it. We don't even have this present moment because, present moment's already in the past. So these are things I keep reminding myself of. And perhaps that comes with age. Imagine where we would be in our lives if we adopted that kind of thinking earlier in life. You're going to regret more 20 years from now the stuff you didn't do than the things you did do. So take the step, move out, do the thing. Romeldian says, if I knew how the future would turn out, then yes, I would change the past. Yeah, that's it. Spock versus Cybok. That was Kirk versus Cybok in that one, that movie, when he said that. Matt Finn, good morning, Master Finn. How you doing this morning? That Mark Twain quote, I actually passed that on to two different friends just this morning in posts that they put up. Because they were talking about things that have gone on in the past, decisions we didn't make. One of them was from a pastoral point of view. Somebody who's been a pastor for many years. He's not now, but he was formerly a pastor. He's in his 70s now. The other one was from a good friend who's my age. And we all look back on those past things. And we say, if only I'd done this, if only I'd pursued that, I'd be a happier person now, is the unspoken part of that regret. But we don't know that. We don't know that we'd be in a better position than we are now. Maybe we would be. Maybe we'd be doing different things. Walking backwards into the future, says Matt Finn over in the chat room. Yeah, exactly. Walking backward into the future. Like Kierkegaard said, you have to live life backward. And you have to look at the past and learn from the past and move on. When I do tarot readings, there's a card. It's the 5 of Cups, I believe it is. And it's the card of nostalgia. It's the 3 of Cups or the 5 of Cups. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head. But the idea with the card was one of, don't trap yourself in the past. Because many of us, we look at where we've been and where we've come from, and we trap ourselves in our regret of not having gone a different direction or done a different thing or performed something in a different, or what we perceive now as a better way. There were times I used to look back to my times in the military. I was in the United States Marine Corps. I had signed up for 6 years. I was going to officer training school. At the time, 1983 or 84, I was going to fly F-14 jets. That was my MOS anyway. And when I injured my back, I broke a bone in my lower back during basic training. I never got past basic training. I never made it to officer training. I never made it to flight school. None of that stuff. In the first 30 days I was in basic training, I was medically discharged for the break in my back. It's still there, as a matter of fact. There's nothing they could do about it unless I had tens of thousands of dollars. At the time, the surgery would have been ridiculous. Now they can do it with a little half-inch slit in your back and $22,000, and about 4 hours later, you're walking and fine. You know, I've often thought I was made an offer at the time from a major, and it was Major Ford. That's all I remember about him. Because during that time, they put me on light duty. I was still functional, but they were shipping me home. It took about 3 weeks to ship me home, to arrange that all, but they had me, my drill instructor kept me for an extra couple of weeks to finish a mural on the wall of Fox Company down at MCRD in San Diego. I don't know if it's been painted over or if it's still there, but of a colonial Minuteman, and he's holding a musket, and it goes up. It's about 12 feet up a staircase and 8 or 9 feet tall up a stairwell, if I remember correctly the dimensions. And at that time, Major Ford, his office was there, and he'd stop by and watch me paint and chat with me. And I'd always, come to attention. He'd say, "Oh, at ease, let's just talk." And like guys, he'd say. But he said, if you want to stay in the Marines, he said, I can have boot camp waived for you. You'll go in as a first lieutenant, and we'll put you in. I can arrange to have you put in the advertising department in Washington, D.C., the Marine Corps advertising department. That was back just before they started coming out with all those flashy television ads with the, let's see, I was in 84, and so it would have been just a few years later. They were doing all those flashy CG graphics and the sword flashing and the Marine and, and so on. And so I would have been in for all of that if I'd been in the advertising department. And I moved to Washington, D.C. to work there in the Marine Corps. And so there were times, all of that story, set that aside. There were times over the years, at the time, by the way, when I knew I was going home, there was a job I had applied for that I didn't get as an art director of at age 22, 23, art director of a small advertising shop. And I went to somebody else. And so when I knew I was going home, I ended up calling this guy, the owner of this ad agency, and he says, as it so happens, the person I hired didn't work out. He says, if you would like the job, it's yours. And I said, I'll take it. I'll be home within a month. And he said, it's yours. And when I got home, I took that job, and I worked there for a few years. And so I had something lined up already when Major Ford said, you could stay in the Marines and be a first lieutenant and go into the advertising department in D.C. And there were years after that I'd often wondered, I wonder what my life would be like had I stayed in the Marine Corps. Did I make a bad choice by coming home and going into an ad agency? Would my life have been better off? Would I have retired out of the Marine Corps now 20 years ago? You're in for 20 years, you can retire, full retirement. That was 39 years ago. 38, 39 years ago. So you ask yourself, had I turned right instead of left at that point, how would my life be different? The big question is, does that matter? My life did what it was supposed to do because I did what I was supposed to do. And if there are regrets and if I made mistakes and turned the wrong direction along the way, you course correct. You say, there are things I may have done, but that's in the past. And you know what comes to mind instantly when I say that? Rafiki from The Lion King, the original movie. And where Simba, who's grown up, sees his father, Mufasa, in the clouds, who says to him, remember who you are. And Rafiki says, oh, it's strange weather we're having. And when he sees that cloud formation, and he encourages him to go back and take up his rightful place. And he says, I can't because of my past. And the past hurts. And so Rafiki hits him over the head with his walking stick, his magic walking stick. And Simba says, hey, that hurt. He says, oh, yes, it hurt. He says, but it's in the past now. He says, the past can hurt us. It's what do you do with the now? And Matthew Sainsbury, you were right on top of that. Yep. Lion King, he hits Simba with his staff. Yep. And that's exactly, sometimes we have to get hit with a staff of life. And we say, yeah, those things I did, those might have been the wrong decisions, or that might have hurt us back then. And like that card in the tarot, don't get stuck in the past. How many of us are stuck in the past? How many people do you know? Let's put it in this context. Let's say in the context of a relationship with another person, another man or woman. I'm keeping it in that context. You can put all the genders in there you want. I don't really care. In a relationship, you're with somebody else. And that relationship breaks up. And the person who was hurt in that relationship is afraid in their near future over getting into something else. Because, and they keep judging the new person or the new persons they go through. See, we're not afraid of relationship. We're afraid of the things that relationship will bring us. Because even those people who said, oh, I've been so hurt in relationship, I don't want one, but they keep getting into relationships and gauging them by what happened in the last one. The one that went bad. That's trapping yourself in the past. You can learn the lessons and the stepping stones from those mistakes or those hurts or those pains or those regrets. But you have to move on into your future. If you're stuck back there, that's where you'll live. It's like Professor Bauer and I were talking this last week. I think it was Bauer who brought this up. The Deep Space Nine Star Trek, if any of you remember that, the premiere episode where Cisco keeps getting brought back to the past where his wife died in a battle on a starship. She was a captain of a starship. And the mystical voice keeps saying to him, as he's standing on his own bridge, they said, if you exist here, and then it goes back to the past and shows him standing on that burning bridge with his wife dying. It says, why do you exist here? If you exist here, why are you existing here? Yes, child.
Is Professor Bauer the one who always wears the Star Trek shirts?
No. I don't think I've ever seen Professor Bauer always wear a Star Trek shirt. I would if I could wear my uniform. I actually don't have a uniform. On that side note, Raini could make one for me, but it's getting her to take the time to do it and me having to pay for it. I'd love to have her make me one of those uniforms as you saw in The Wrath of Khan, the red uniform with the little flap that buttoned up on this side, and opened up, and those flashy new uniforms they did in The Wrath of Khan. Only I've seen people make those, and they go to cons and stuff like that, and they look horrible. They drape on them poorly. They don't have any interfacing or any shouldering done on the inside, the padding. But I want her to make one of those for me. They're made like a men's suit, with that facing and the harder shoulder and the shoulder padding and so on. David Otnes says, I'm going to leave you a poem I wrote on the YT comment page. Once it pops up post-show, it's on this subject to which you're now referring. It's called The Late Night Radio. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing it, David. So, anyway, all of that to say, when I see so many people that talk about their regrets, especially in social media, and if that's all they have to share, or if that's what maybe they don't even realize that's what's consuming them internally. Now, we all have stories to tell. I got a million stories to tell. But the stories I tell, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I could tell you a story about this right now. There was this time, Ellery, where you and I sat on different computers, and I said, I have a million stories to tell. And you said, no, you don't. And I said, yeah, I do. And I said, no, you don't. And yeah, you do. And then you started screaming. Okay. There, see, that's a story. But if we have all these stories, and I see all these people that were consumed by the things that torment us, that tear our minds apart, that tear our hearts apart. How many of you have had heartache? How many of you have had people you've lost, either through death or divorce or one thing or another? I have a lot of people I've lost along the way. Some of it is heartrending. Some of it is good. Oh, it's good that person's not my life anymore. And so you look at that stuff and you say that can either consume who I am or it can teach me to be who I need to be. I am today who I am, not just because of the mistakes I've made or the good things I've made, but the mistakes I've made. Everything I've done in this life, I am a product of everything that has led me to this point. And you can either let those things destroy your character and your integrity and who you are, even the things that were bad mistakes, where you did the wrong thing and you hurt people in the process. But do those come, are those the defining things of who you are now? Delaney Pearl Jones, I got love now, she says. Boom, there it is. So we keep moving forward. We keep progressing. There are times in very recent years, months even, where I have felt, that's it. I got nothing else. I'm worn out. I'm done. A year or two ago, there was a point where I had dropped to such a low ebb from physical stuff, heart surgery, hip surgery, no big deals when you add them all up. They're just things that happen, things you got to go through. Like I say, the older I get, all my old friends, we all talk about less about cars and cash and chicks and more about what body parts have been taken out or replaced or repaired. So, but in the recent couple of years, I have had my moments where I felt I was at absolute rock bottom emotionally. And those are the times where you think, I got nothing else to give. I got nowhere else to go. Many of the dreams I had as a young man shattered, they're gone. How many people do you know at age 61 that forge into new paths and do new great things? I'm sure there's great examples. If you've got examples, post them in the chat room. Let's talk about it, or call in with those examples. We'll talk about them. But those are the things that you look at and you say, okay, I'm now on the downward slide toward death. I got nothing new. I'm not going to be the new young Turk that comes up with the great idea or the great twist on something. But we keep, the thing is, we either let that overcome us and we continue to slide downward, or we take that and say, 20 years from now, you'll regret more of the things you didn't do than the things you did do. So we keep doing, we keep trying, we keep working at trying to do something that is better, that makes a mark. I know a lot of people who we are consumed by the act of daily living. What I mean by that, many of us are trapped in that cycle of, I got to work. And I don't mean I got to work because it fulfills me. A lot of people, I got to work. I got to go do my pissy little job at the gas station selling convenience stuff for 8 hours, 6 hours a day, because they won't hire you full time, so they don't have to pay you any benefits. But it gets you $10 an hour, along with the other job you have that you also hate. This is wearing my body down. It's wearing my mind out. You know, how many people do you know who are trapped in those situations because they can't get out of them? Life has become that vicious cycle of I've got to work these piddly jobs that I hate doing. I hate Monday morning. I live for Friday night. Or if you got a weekend job, whatever days are your weekends. And we live that way in and out. And then we come home, and if there's a spouse, there's the spouse to be with, and try to be as best a person as you can be with that person. Maybe they're your light in the darkness because you work shitty jobs. Your children, or if your children are grown and out. Maybe there's the little house you keep trying to maintain, or maybe you can't afford to get a house because you've never made enough money or been able to save enough money because you're always, everything you make goes into current expense. You can look back and say, for the last 15 years, that's all my life has been. And you say, where am I going? What am I doing? What's my life amounting to? And many people get lost in that eddying whirlpool of self-loathing, discontent. It's the content of being where we are, who we're supposed to be. And yeah, there are days I get that. There's days where the money's not rolling in the way it should. There are days where I say, I have never quite made it to that place where I can get beyond the struggling of finance. We all have those moments. There are very few of us that don't. It's how you deal with it. Like I say, to paraphrase or quote the Monty Python line from The Life of Brian, always look on the bright side of life. Life's a piece of shit when you think of it. And blah, 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 blah. You know, that's the way we look at it. Life is kind of shitty. And I used to have this philosophy many years ago where I said, you know, life itself is entropic. It winds down. It's always on a downward slope to final decay. And it's shitty because 9 out of the 10 things we try don't happen. And we have to settle for the one that works. But it's not necessarily the one we wanted. And so we look at our lives and we go, these things are shitty. Yet, I've found too that the way we cope with that, the way we deal with the way we're going to be in life, the way we're going to treat other people around us, the way we're going to enjoy what we have. That's the key to all of that. And life goes on. And 1,000 years from now, most of us won't even be known. Nobody will remember who we are. Maybe 10 years from now. I have people I know and love that have died. Many of them over the last 40 years of my adult life. Some of those people nobody will ever remember. Very few people will remember. I remember them. Camel tube. We talk bowel movements now and cars. Ain't that the truth? So long as it's not bowel movements in cars, because our incontinence is taken over and we can't make it to the bathroom in time. That's where you combine the two of those, Camel. So broken hearts and dirty windows make life difficult to see. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? So, yeah, we've all got stuff. Anyway, I don't mention any of that for us to discourage ourselves or depress ourselves. That's the time where you say, how have I built up this history of leading me to a life as I get a little older where there's nothing left to hope for, that everything is the abyss or abysmal or regret or whatever it might be. I think it's because we don't adopt that philosophy of 20 years from now, you'll regret more what you didn't do than what you did do. So cast off the bowlines. Explore, dream, discover. Many times we don't have the opportunity to do that. Many times we have the opportunity to say, travel to Egypt, travel to England, travel to the places you want to go in the world, Iceland, New Zealand. Oh, it's too expensive. I'll never get to go. You say. But then you realize when you look back over a calendar year to do your taxes, how much money you've spent on stuff that, oh, if only I diverted that money into my travel to Iceland fund or wherever, I'd be going this year. So you make provision for that. My 7-year-old is over there in the peanut gallery making, but now you're not. She has no idea yet. So we try to instill this stuff in our kids. No looking back, always look forward, says Camel Tube. Godspeed. Amen, brother. Exactly. So that is, what do you think you have to add to this, little tiny? What do you think you have to add? You want to come over here and add your 2 cents worth? Okay, you tell me. You tell us all. What do you think? That's what I thought. So, there's that. I regret not having put this hat on this morning. Here, now I can. There's my hat. It's one of my penman hats. By the way, if anybody knows whatever happened to John Penman, let me know. He just disappeared off the planet. Look who we have. We got Ruben Fasthorse this morning. Hey, Ruben. How you doing, brother?
Hey, honey wash there. Good morning. Good morning to one and all.
Yes. Where's your cool hat?
Yeah, I like it. Very fitting. You belong in Egypt.
I do. Or someplace.
I just got off the chat with Roy Palvado.
Yeah.
Ray
on Facebook.
Yeah.
And in life.
Mutual friends. Just
yes.
Thought I'd give him a ring. It's Sunday morning, so live from New York. I'm 50 miles.
Hold on 1 second. Hey, Ellery, will you let Lucy out, please? In the back.
You belong in the sewers if you're a clown.
Thank you for that words of wisdom from a 7-year-old. You belong in the sewer if you're a clown.
She must have watched it.
What the context of that is, but there it is. He belongs in a museum, said Matt Finn. Yes. I always thought that was a great Indiana Jones line. He's getting punched in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Thugs on a boat that's going to sink. And the cross of Cordoba is taken from him. And he goes, that belongs in a museum.
My favorite line is, honey, it's not the years, it's the mileage.
Not the years, honey, it's the mileage. Yes.
That makes sense.
It does. It does. Because like I say, for as old as I am, I still can do everything I used to do when I was 40 years younger. Except it just hurts more now.
There you go.
So, it just hurts a little more.
Ain't that the truth? You know, and I'm going to quote David Bowie, something I read about him. He said, aging is a process that we come to realize we should have been, in our older years, we should have been at this stage But when
Yeah.
you're 26 and you're jumping off a cliff or skydiving or out of a plane, you're not thinking about it. You think you're going to live forever. You're Superman.
Right.
But at 51 now, I realize it's just another step, you know.
Yeah.
And the mind is 18, but the body's not.
Yeah. And so, you know, when I was 25, did I think about being 80? Not often. Not often. It's the farthest thing from your mind. And, you know, it's funny. The older you get, the faster time seems to go by.
Yes,
The quicker it passes. So,
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Honey,
No,
it's not
Matthew, I'm not Clark Kent until I put
it's
on
a
my
mileage.
glasses. There. Now, if I were Superman, would you be fooled by this disguise? I am now a news reporter, as
There you
opposed
go.
to Superman. Oh, wait, Man of Steel. It's amazing what a pair of black horn rimmed glasses can do for you.
Indeed.
So,
I've graduated to the level where I've been nearsighted all my life, so I need a pair of glasses just to drive.
mm-hmm.
But I was always able to read anything up front, close to me.
Yeah.
Now I've got reading glasses.
Yeah.
You know,
I have an astigmatism, so everything is just that hair blurry, just a hair. I need glasses for reading. Now, like right now, depends on the day too. I can read right now. I can read what people are writing. There's some days I got to put those glasses on just to see what's on the chat room. So it depends on the day. So
you know, it's you're right. You're right in saying that because sometimes I wear my glasses. Of course, I'm driving, and
I
but
don't even know where my regular glasses are.
these little screws.
Yeah.
I need help. I got to put another pair of glasses
Oh
just
yeah.
to tell.
Yeah. I'm the same
Yeah.
way. I'm like, I can't see the hole.
Yeah.
So some might say that's a personal problem, but you know, there it is. I don't even know where my regular glasses are. I broke my good glasses, and I have like 3 pairs of old glasses from over the last 6-7 years. They're all in little cases, and so I pull out the old ones, and I go, "Oh man, my eyes did change from the time I had those on." And but I use them, so I don't have to go buy a new pair of glasses yet.
They're always there for you. You know, it's like
They're there.
you buy a beautiful pair of sunglasses, and you lose them,
Yeah.
but you still have the cheapies that never get lost. You know.
Yeah. I almost dove into Lake Michigan to fetch a pair of my sunglasses. I had on a pair of I think I spent back in the early 90s. I spent like $60 on these Ray-Ban wood frame looking Ray-Ban sunglasses. And we're out on a boat with some friends. And I go like this up under the sunglasses, and as I move my finger, I pull the glasses off, and they flip over the edge of the boat, and I'm like, no, I just bought those. And I was going to dive in after them, and they wouldn't let me. I can surely find them. So,
yeah, it's such as the nature of things now.
Right.
It's just
and, I'm not talking so much about growing older in this show this morning. I'm talking about the things that we all have, because I encountered, I don't know if you heard this at the beginning, just 2-3 different friends just this morning, social media friends, just expressing publicly their regrets about things. And I thought, we've all got so many regrets. And can we change what happened in our past by wasting our time regretting what we did? We can't change that. And this has become, I think everybody knows this to a certain extent. It's being able to practice it. It's like saying, Do I change anything that's coming, that's I'm anticipating in the future, a thing I got going on, a thing I have to do? Can I change that by worrying over it? Can I change it by my stress about the possibility of what might happen? I can't. You can't change those things.
You know, it's interesting you say that, because it makes me think of what the Buddha says.
Yeah.
When you are in regret, you're in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're anxious, you're in the future.
Yep.
So don't go forward or backward. Just stay right here.
And
right
this is the whole thing of being awake, of living in the present. And by the way, I feel I need to clarify this. I love wearing my fedoras. And I know some people that come in and they're new here and they see me, oh, is that your little trademark thing? No, I barely ever wear this on the radio. I just put it on because it's right here. And I said, I don't want to regret not wearing it this morning. So I put it on.
There you go.
Do I worry about that? Sometimes you're concerned about when you're doing things that you're hoping is appealing to other people, that means something to other people.
Yeah.
Like this radio show that I do every day of the week except Saturday. I want it to be meaningful. I want it to mean something to somebody. At the same time, it is my, if you will, my journal of who I am, and has been for many years. But so the only time I worry about perception is that if people wouldn't like coming here because they perceive something about me or my personality or the way I do something. And there's a point where you say, some of that is valid. If I want my words to be accepted and perceived as being something good, I've got to be mindful of the things that I might do that give the perception that I am something I shouldn't be. And so I'm always careful of that. And I always think about it. That's why I made the comment about the hat. It's like I see guys on radio, and sometimes my first impression, I see guys wearing something, and then I see another clip, and then they're wearing the same hat or cap or whatever. And I'm thinking, okay, you're trying to make that your trademark. And I don't want to do that, I say. But I wear a fedora. I've got several of them. So is that my trademark? Certainly not for the radio show. And does it matter? No. But I talk about it still. So.
I think it's very distinguishing. You know, since you brought it up, I wear a top hat.
Yes.
I put a feather in it, or when I dance. And also I wear a leather cowboy hat because I'm from South Dakota. So
well, you have to.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. I was telling my Susie, my girlfriend Susie, that every July 4th, the Sitting Bull Stampede in our local reservation in South Dakota, in Mobridge, South Dakota, would have their rodeo 3-day, July 1st to the 4th or 3rd, and then they would do fireworks. But every time I went was with my mother's father, my grandfather, and he'd always buy me a straw hat, and he'd always buy me cowboy boots, and we would go and have a hot dog. You know, so it was a good memory, good times.
Yeah.
But he always wore a hat, and every time he came in the house, he would take his hat off and, you know, set it down or put it someplace, hang it up, and it just reminds me, what you just said reminds me of how when men were men.
Yeah.
I remember men used to wear suits. Even the hobos.
Yeah.
Wore
Men would wear suits to yard parties.
Yep.
You know,
Wingtip shoes. You know, it was just
not glasses.
and white socks.
Two of these up there on my dresser.
It's very distinguishing. I think it says a lot about a man.
There's my glasses.
In that way. So, yeah. Oh, you found them.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, you see some of the memes sometimes out there. The way men used to dress in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. for just social functions. Hey, we're going to go out and have dinner. Men would wear a jacket and a tie.
Yep.
And nowadays, and then they showed the alternative. Nowadays it's always sleeveless T-shirt, shorts, and an inverted baseball cap.
Yeah,
that's become the. I wrote an article for John Penman's one of his websites for his hats, and I said it's the idea that men no longer dress to be like men.
That's it.
That's it. And I said the American white male uniform has become T-shirts, shorts, and a baseball cap.
Cargo pants, yeah.
Yeah.
Flops.
I had Ellie run up and get a couple of my other fedoras. And by the way, I'm doing this the wrong way. I learned a long time ago the hard way. The way to take a hat on and off is by the rim. You always put it on by the brim, like this. Because when you pinch it, I used to do this and take my hats off.
Yeah.
Well, what I ended up doing was this. This was the first Penman fedora I ever got. And this is my my Casablanca. It was his replica of Humphrey Bogart's hat from the movie Casablanca. But you see this?
You wore that in Egypt. I remember that.
Did. This is the one that's been to Egypt and back several times.
And
you see that little hole right there?
Worn it out, yeah.
That's from going like this.
Yep.
And taking my hat on and off.
Pinching it.
Oh, there's a feather in there. I must have stuck that in there one day. Just not when I was wearing it, but because it was sitting around. But so the way to put on a hat is you put it on around the brim and you roll your brim and you do whatever you have to do to make it look right.
Yeah.
So
I learned that, Scotty, Jeff, from my top hat. Because you can't pinch it. So
right. There's nothing to pinch.
Right.
So this is by far my favorite hat. I still wear it even with the hole in it. I think I'm going to take. I was going to talk to Dave Potter about this. There's probably some fabric glue or something I can do to put in there and pinch that together, and then at least seal up the hole. So you can almost do it without gluing it. You can seal it, but it's not sealed. I can do something to seal up that little hole.
You could suture it from the inside and just take a.
I was thinking about that. So I've got several hats. One hat I do not have that I want to have is I don't have a trademark Indiana Jones hat. Penman would be the only guy I'd ever buy one from, if he's still alive. I haven't heard from him for almost 2 years, and neither has anybody else. But his company's still there selling hats. Who knows? But this is one that he made for me. He just surprised me with it one year.
Huh.
And he made this, and it's not an Indiana Jones hat. Indiana Jones has the one furrow along, it's bashed like this. There's one furrow along the top. This one is what is this? How many points does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This has got 6 points on it. 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and concave in the middle. And so he made this hat for me, and the color was whiskey. It was actually a reddish, yellowish brown as opposed to brown. Now it's been in the sun enough that it's got that browner look. It's faded a little bit, but this is the hat that he made for me a few years back. And that's a nice fedora. Now, the nice thing about this is I can wear this with a suit and tie, which I've done. I've gone to court when I was there, not representing, but standing for my son in court. Now, you don't wear the hat into court. You take it off.
Right.
That's what a gentleman does. But I can wear it with a suit and tie, and I can wear it with blue jeans and a T-shirt, like I'm doing now. And I've done that. You're going to get your top hat? Is that where you're going?
Yeah. That's where I'm going.
Let's see. Let's see that baby. There it is. Men in hats. Outstanding.
A little bit of steampunk goggles here, and
Yeah.
of course my skulls.
Yep. Gotta have the skulls.
This is more like my winter attire or autumn,
Yeah.
and then the summer is a nice,
There you go.
just a leather cowboy
Now
hat.
you look like an Indian from the Dakotas.
Howdy.
Howdy. Well, this, by the way, this hat that he made for me, you
Yeah.
see this the ribbon on this hat
Yeah.
and the bow that he puts on that. This is a vintage ribbon. Now, he made the hat brand new, but the ribbon he acquired from some old hat makers. The ribbon on this is about 70 years old, he said.
Wow.
And so it's got a vintage hat band on it. And he always, of course, lines these with satin
Yeah, beautiful.
and leather. This is all the hat band on the inside is all leather. And all of this, if you can see that, it's all hand stitched on the inside.
Wow.
And he puts the little bow on the back. And
Hang on to that one for sure.
all of them, all of my hats from Penman are the same way.
You know,
And
that
of course,
it reminds me of that scene in the Indiana Jones at the very end where he spoke with the FBI agents, and they're
oh yeah,
you know they take this
Top
big warehouse
men. Yes,
of where they're putting the ark
yes,
in a crate,
yes.
and he's walking down the steps and she's following behind him, and he's got that tilt to his hat, and he's got a
Yes.
beautiful suit
Yes.
suit on, and that was just very wow, that's
Yep.
a man's man, you know.
Now,
You know.
folks, I have posted in the chat room the call-in link. If you've got something you want to add to this conversation, talking about life, about regrets, about not having regrets, about moving into your futures, about the things that we all do in life. You got to talk about hats, anything. Hey, Uncle Dave, come on in and join us then. There's the link. I posted it if you want to say anything about any of that.
Is that Potter?
It's Harry Potter, David Potter.
You know,
And-
it's funny you're talking about hats, because what I loved, and I still do, and I want to get one, is a tricorn
tricorn.
hat. I thought that was really cool. I had my
Like
braid,
American Revolution, folks. The
Yeah,
tricorn hats.
my braids, and then I had had the hat on.
I still don't have a tricorn, and I'd like to get one.
Yeah.
By the way, this is the brush that John Penman sent me with this hat. He says, "There's the hat brush for you," and these were his signature. He says you got to keep the nap brushed on them, and it's not just to get stuff off of them; it's to keep the nap brushed.
I thought that was your toothbrush.
Yeah, it is some days. Depends on how big my mouth is. Hey, you need to brush with the big toothbrush tonight, buddy.
There you go. There you go.
But a properly bashed hat
Mm.
is also. Oh, by the way, when he made the original Indiana Jones hat, when those were made by the original hat eaters for the movie, sometimes, by the way, the only time I'll pinch this anymore is to make sure it's lined up right down the center. But what happened was they take a hat, and this is just a big bowl on top, the fabric, and they steam it and bash in the shape. When Harrison Ford first tried on his hat, you see, and I've mentioned this before, you see where the bow sits here,
Yeah.
like right above your ear to your temple. Well, when Harrison Ford first put his hat on, he cranked it a little bit to the side, and then they bashed it. So if you look at the movies, and you look at his hat, especially in that first movie, his bow isn't here. It's sitting up here a little closer to above his temple.
Huh.
And that was a detail that Penman put into all the replica hats he made. And he made these all by hand. And so when he'd bash the hat for the Indiana Jones hats he was selling, he'd bash them a little cocked to the right. And so that bow sits above the temple instead of above the ear. And so those were the details that he looked for and that he did when he makes his Indiana Jones hats. And that's why those hats could cost upwards to $700 depending on the fabric. If you had, like, this is rabbit. No, this one is rabbit. That was the first penman hat I got. That's the one I wore to Egypt. And so that one's rabbit. And which is a lighter weight. But this one is it this one or this one? That's the wool. I think this is the wool. And it's a little heavier duty. And oh, look who we got. Put your hat on quick. You still have it with you? Ruben, put your hat on.
Yeah, let me get it. It's interesting because
hang on, Uncle Dave.
1876, a contingency of Lakota, Sitting Bull included, visited President Ulysses S. Grant, and he bestowed upon the native people, my people, brought in feathers, headdresses, regalia for him. And he, in turn, gave us coattails and top hats.
Well, here we go. Here's Uncle Dave.
Yep.
Boom. In his bowler.
Hello, hello.
It's a bowler hat. Here,
Morning, everyone.
Take down my my banner. There you go. No, let's here, baby. I'm going to keep that over there, okay? As fun as you thought that was.
It's funny because there's I don't know if you remember it, guys, but there was a band in the 80s called Men Without Hats.
Yes.
Yes. And they can dance if they want to.
That's not us tonight.
That's not us. That's right.
Hello, Ellery. Good morning.
Say hi, Uncle Dave. Uncle Dave was just here yesterday. So we had a good time with Uncle Dave.
All the proper hats. Top hat, bowler, and fedora.
Yes, and a fedora. So I love this hat. This one, I love this whiskey colored hat. This is a great, I call this my casual fedora, even though I could wear this with a suit too. But this
have
this
a
looks
mink
great
felt
in t-shirt
fedora.
and jeans as well. So
I have a mink felt fedora that's missing. It's a period hat from the late 40s or early 50s. And it's not in my hat rack. It's not in any of my hat boxes. I cannot figure out where it is.
I've got clothing and costume pieces that have gone missing over the years too. They're just never to be seen again. You don't know what happened to them. Who's got that? Who's wearing that? I had a pair of Catskill Mountain boots that I loaned to somebody. And of course, those are molded to fit your own feet. But I loaned them to somebody who could wear them, and I've never seen them since. That was back in 2003 or 4.
Oh, so. I was just there yesterday. I could have picked up the camera holder thing, the phone holder thing.
Where?
At your house.
Oh, yeah. To hold your phone up. So you don't have to hold it during a show.
Dude.
My first fedora was a gray hat. I love that. Black ribbon and then gray.
Oh, mine? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one I started with this morning. So this one, I put the brim down on this in the front, and I don't like it as much. Like I wear my other fedoras. I'll put this on, and I'll take the brim down in the front. I'm not as fond of this because the brim isn't quite as wide, and it just has a totally different look. When I first got it and first put it on, the very first time I had this hat, I put it on, and I rolled the edges in the front, and I thought, that's the way to wear this hat. I'll wear this one up in the front. And I hate when you have these little, dings like this in your when you're bashing your hat. You see guys who wear these hats and they're like they're like crunched up. It's like, dude, who dressed you this morning? Who dressed you this morning? Give me that hat. And you got to roll it, and and do your thing with it. And this one,
Yeah.
I keep the brim
I
up.
can't stand the brim that way. It's got to be tilted down, or I just.
This is the only one I'll wear that way because of the style of hat it is. It's not a full fedora like these other ones. It's not fuller brim. Again, though, this is a 4-point. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a 4-point crown. And and it came with the feather. Penman gave me a couple of different feathers for this. There's the red and black one. There's a blue and white and black one. And the red one's the one I liked in it. And again, this has a vintage ribbon in it. That ribbon's probably older than I am.
Yeah, it's interesting because the one fedora I did have had speckled from a rooster.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very male thing. And when I wear my hair down like this and have my hat on, a lot of guys will say, "Hey, it's Slash from Guns N' Roses."
Nice.
I was like, "Oh, thank you."
I like to wear. I've never traditionally been a guy who liked hats until I started wearing fedoras. Dave, if you remember at festival, even when I was Royal Guard and our costume was we had to wear those hats, I didn't like wearing my hat, and I'd take it off whenever I could because mostly I'd get overheated at the festival. We're wearing it's summertime, it's hot out. We're wearing these big wool costumes, and I'd have that wool hat, and I hated it. And it wasn't until I started getting a little older. Maybe I'm losing more body heat nowadays, but when I started wearing fedoras about 10 years ago, that's when I started loving wearing my hats. I didn't even like wearing a baseball cap. I can't wear baseball caps.
All my life, I've been a hat guy. Boxes and boxes of hats.
Yep, never had it.
I'm not a cap guy either. I can't wear a baseball cap. It just doesn't work for me. But I was going to say, Scotty, that Chad, that you look better with a crown.
Why, thank you. I think so, too. The rest of the royal family didn't believe that. All the noblemen were against me, but I said that crown would look better on my head. That was my last character, Dave, at the festival was Edmund Scroop.
Yep.
That's when I was wearing the royal... I think she's playing a game over there, not talking to me. But that was my motto, and I had it in Latin. The motto was thrice a what was it? Thrice a cousin, thrice a bastard. No, thrice a bastard, thrice a cousin, thrice removed from the crown. That's when I was the king's sidekick. And because I said, well, I'm the third cousin of the king. So I'm probably 28th in line to the throne. So thrice a bastard, thrice a cousin, thrice removed from the crown.
If that's your quote, I've got my own quote. People say, "Where are you from, Ruben?" I say, "I'm from South Dakota." You know what South Dakota has? Sunshine, sunflowers, and sons of bitches.
And which one are you? And I ain't no sunflower. So, there we go.
There you go.
Elderberry, are you saying that Dave and I are not original with our hat wear? So,
What?
Elder, turn that overhead light off, please. What do you need it for? It's daylight. There's sun coming in the windows. Turn off the big light, please. It's not about what you want right now. Thank you. Oh, you want to bet? You want to see who'll win that fight? 7-year-olds challenging me. Ruben has class to be original, said Elderberry. Well, Dave and I are original, too.
Cheers.
What hat are you wearing today, Elderberry? Ruben, he's asking what kind of hat you have. It's a top hat, but anything else special about that?
Once upon a time, when they did come back from visiting the East Coast, and the president, Ulysses S. Grant,
Good morning, Grumpy Stack, by the way. He just woke up.
The native men brought their hat to their wives, and they would put beadwork on it.
Embellish them.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Embellish them, yeah. And all along the edges, peyote stitch.
Yes.
And then feathers that I use when I dance at a powwow. I have a bunch of feathers that I put on.
I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah, my regalia. So it kind of doctors it up a bit, as we say.
Yes.
So.
And I have that old picture of Reuben. It's not super old. I don't want to make it sound like, back when he was a child, when they only had tintypes. I've got this picture of Reuben. Let me find it here. This was and it's Sunday that we did a while back. And let me open this up, and I'm going to resave this in a style where I can actually load it up, and you can see this. This is Reuben in the same hat he's wearing right now, only in his other regalia. And that's not for you, Reuben. She's playing a game over there on Raini's computer. So let me import this photo. I'm going to upload it and show you. Some of you who've been with this show for a long time have seen this picture of Reuben before. It's loading right now, and we'll put it up right now. Here we go. Add to stream. There you go. That's what. Hey, sweetheart, if you're going to do that, you need to go upstairs. I know you can't, so that means shut up. Stop the yelling. So that's when Reuben first came on a Sunday morning. A couple of years ago we did this graphic, but that's an old picture of Reuben in the same hat he's wearing right now. He's got the feather in it.
And then the coattail, that was the whole premise, was the long tails on the coat. And the handprint is something
that means you're part of Saruman's army. The army of Sauron. The hand.
It actually comes from Dances with Wolves, when Wes Studi, the Pawnee, he had a black print, which denotes he's a war leader. He's a headman.
Yes.
A general. And the red is something fairly recent, within the last 3 years, for this teenage girl, Native American from Washington State. She ran a cross-country meet, and she won, but she painted her face, which is a very masculine thing, but it denotes that she was strong, confident. And she made it known because she wanted to recognize the MMIW, which is an acronym for Missing Murdered Indigenous Women across America.
Huge problem.
Yes.
Yes.
So that was the mark of recognition, recognizing those women that were lost
So no.
in that way.
She'll call you when she's free.
Yep.
All right. You gonna take this and go upstairs? Don't call Mom right now. She's
Missing and murdered Indigenous women is a huge problem right now.
Yes. Indeed. So I wanted to just mark
that away from you. I didn't mean.
So when I go to a powwow, I dress the same way you're seeing me there, with
you can
just something simple: coattails, eagle fan, top hat.
Stop acting like a foolish.
And then the paint on the face, and it kind of denotes. I'm going to say this real quick, just like your trademark, gentlemen. The bowler hat and the fedora and top hat. Native men always painted their face. So thus, people constantly ask me, why do you wear lipstick or why do you wear eyeliner? and it's the same kind of recognition of saying that we always painted our faces. It's nothing big deal, you know.
Who cares?
Thing. Yeah, who cares?
Well, you do it because you care, but
well, you know, and it's just, I guess, a trademark that
sure.
I'm confident in my masculinity of just being me, you know.
Pharaoh wore eye makeup.
There you go.
So,
and the Egyptians, yeah.
So there are times I look at my face in the mirror and say, I could use a little makeup. I could use a little eyeliner. So, lipstick I could do without. Even Raini, when she does all her makeup and stuff, she doesn't even put on lipstick. She doesn't like the bright colors, but she'll do the eyeliner and the lashes and stuff like that. She doesn't do the foundation and rouge. You know, she just does eye stuff. That's it.
Less is more.
Yeah, less is more, and she's more. So, so there you go. We have gone way off the original topic, but that's what we do here.
What was
It's not really a topic? There wasn't. There's never a topic. But I was talking about how this morning, and you know even some of these people, Dave, how this morning I saw no less than 3. I thought it was 2, and then I thought about it, and it's 3. 3 people posting in social media about their regrets in life. If only I had done this. If only I had pursued that. And these are people who many times I've seen other postings of how they regret certain things or bemoaning the place where they are. And I don't talk ill of them because of it. But I look at that and I say, in 2 of those posts this morning, I posted the Mark Twain quote about 20 years from now. And one of these people was a good old friend. Another of these people was a former youth pastor of mine who's been a pastor for years and years. He's in his 70s. And he wasn't bemoaning some sorry state he's in. He was talking about things that the regrets that we have, the things as we grow older and the things that we wish we would have done. And I said, and I've seen lots of other people that post about those kinds of things in social media. Maybe it's because in social media we run out of good things to talk about, so we got to talk about what bone is being replaced or what joint is being fixed or what organ is being operated on. Those are the things we talk about nowadays. But that started me thinking. We can dwell on the things that we regret, or we make mention of them. We don't. It's like that. Was it you or Professor Bauer that was talking about this when we were talking at some point this last week? We were talking about the beginning of the opening premiere episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Sisko saying he exists here, but he's got the emissary, and the voice of the emissary speaking to him. Well, if you exist here, and he's on his bridge, and it brings him back to where his wife is dying in her burning starship, and he appears there, and she goes, if you exist here, why do you exist here? Saying you're existing here. You have never left this place. Even though you say you exist here in your present, you still exist back here, because that's where you keep letting yourself be pulled. And that's what is the foundation of everything you're doing. It was a great pop cultural science fiction television show way of acknowledging what many of us do. We exist here. I exist here, right here and in the now. But why do I also exist back there? You can't coexist in the two places. Is the
like
idea.
you and I were talking about yesterday with me and Amy. I constantly get drugged back to that point in time.
Exactly. You get dragged back into that. And
Dad,
yes, sweetheart.
there's no remote.
There's no remote. Gosh, who uses the remote?
No,
Did you dig through the sofa cushions and all around everything you got laying around in the living room? Where are you looking for the remote? In my bedroom or in the living room?
living room?
It's around. It's up on the look on the mantle right below the TV,
What mantle?
above the fireplace. There's a remote sitting up there. I put it there, unless you used it yesterday. Sorry for that familial learning moment, folks.
It's all good. It's all good.
You know what? It's around. Nobody took it out of the room, so you're going to have to, hey, go whine upstairs, okay? Yourself. This is a rule I have in the house. You're never doing what again? You're never cleaning again. When did you start?
If you cleaned, it'd be easy to find the remote.
This is my rule in this house, is that if you use something, put it back to where you found it so the next person can find it. If you use something that's a communal thing, like the tuner, the remote for the television. If you're going to use that in the living room, put it back when you're done with it, or put it, I've said there's two places you can put it. You can put it on the end table.
When I was her age, I was the remote.
Yeah, so was I. Yeah, hold that coat hanger just that way. There you got it, Davey. You just stand right there. And so if you put it back, guess what? You'll know where it is next time you're looking for it. I've said that at least 500 times in this house. Does it get adhered to? Every time I go into the living room and want to turn on the TV, which is rare, I don't watch TV out there, I've got to do a massive a reconnaissance mission to try to find the remote. I got to pull apart the whole room, and I'll either find it down in the cushions, or I'll find it tangled up in somebody's pants they left laying in the living room, or you find it outside the living room, sitting on the kitchen table, in amongst the I put it in the magic marker box. Well, what's it doing in the magic marker box? Well, I didn't want Rowan or Flynn to find it. I didn't want him to turn the channel on me. I said, but you're not up there watching anything. So that's the rule. If you're going to use it, put it back so the next person can find it. Or guess what? So you can find it next time. It's the same basis as the rule, quote unquote, that I've established. I've talked about it a couple of times when we're talking about household stuff. I tell all the kids, every morning before school, the last 10 minutes before they want to walk out the door, they're all screaming and hollering because none of them can find a pair of socks.
What are they talking about? There's piles of socks right on the couch.
You've seen this sofa here. There's a big basket full of kids' socks. There's a box full of kids' socks because
I should have sat and sorted socks while I was sitting there yesterday.
And there's a big pile of socks on the sofa. They can't ever find a pair. There's 300 socks there, but none of them match each other. And I said, the best way to take care of that, and I got the kids all color-coded. It sounds OCD, but it's not. It's just a thing to make sure I do this for myself so I don't have to fuck with it. Let's call that OCD if you want, but you know what I do with my socks? I take them off at night. I pin the toes together with a safety pin and throw them in the dirty clothes basket. Why? Do you think I ever have to search for a pair of socks? Never. Socks will go through the wash.
That's OCP, old crabby pants.
Old crabby pants. There it is. My socks will go through the wash. They stay pinned together. They go through the dryer. They stay pinned together. Guess what? They come out of the dryer, and they're all. I take the pairs of socks and I lay them over my hand with the pin here. I got 20 pairs of socks. I just go lay them in my drawer. Guess what? I never have to look for a missing sock. So I told the kids, if you pin your socks together when you take them off, guess what? You'll never have to look for a pair of socks. Ask me, over the last 3 years, I've been trying to get these kids to do that. Ask me how often they've done it. Crickets. I even bought them color-coded pins. Flynn's got the red ones, and Rowan's got the blue ones, or Flynn's got the black ones, and I don't remember whose color is what. Doesn't matter. They know. But those boxes have been sitting for at least 6 months in their room, unopened and unused. Black pins, red pins, blue pins, yellow pins. Raini poo-poos me the other day. Oh, don't make them do that. That's so stupid. I said, fine. I said, you be in charge of helping them find socks in the morning.
I just don't wear socks. I haven't worn socks since I was 16. Or underwear. So I have no problems.
I'm not wearing socks now, and I may not wear any tomorrow.
You know, it's funny thinking about all this regrets and whatnot. Just kind of turn my world a little bit, where I've seen things on social media, Facebook and whatnot, where kids don't know what rabbit ears are on TV.
Okay. Yeah.
And there was a black family, and the dad videotaped on his phone his sons, 3 sons sitting in the back seat. They're triplets, and he pulled up next to a telephone booth, and he said, "Boys, what is that?" And they looked at each other, and they said, "It's a gas pump."
Yeah. No,
like they wouldn't know a record player either.
I'm old enough to remember how revolutionary it was when they stopped using phone booths and they had drive-up phones.
Yeah, the standard of things.
I'm old enough to remember.
Morning,
it
Matthew.
cost a dime to make.
Yeah,
hi, Matthew, how you doing? Where's your hat?
Yeah, I have a cap, but I have my father has a special hat that I used to wear all the time that he got from Mexico. But I'm moving, trying to locate it since I moved to where I am right now. Yeah, but if I can, I will let you guys see it. It's a very nice Mexican hat that he got.
Like a sombrero?
Sombrero, right.
No.
Yeah, it was something I wanted to ask you, because you had a very good program the other day about the Moonite people that the Cherokee had saw a witness. I wanted to ask Ruben about that. If he heard about the Moonite people or so, the legendary Moonite people.
Oh, you're talking about Friday night's show.
Yeah, Friday night show. Yeah.
I was trying to get you on. I don't know if you ever saw my message from Friday morning.
I did. I'm sorry.
About a couple of things. No, that's okay. You weren't available. But we talked about the Moon-eyed people on Friday, and from Appalachia, how the Cherokee had the Moon-eyed people, which were light-skinned, light-haired tribe that they always fought with, and they drove them out. And also the idea of I wanted to bring up linguistics with you. Maybe we'll do that next week. We'll have a night when we do that, when I'm prepared for it. But we had showing the similarities between ancient Welsh and Mandan, and how they believe the Mandan tribe, which is I don't know exactly where they are. They're west of here. Are they like northern Oregon or northern Utah, somewhere in that region? Maybe Montana. It was Lewis and Clark ran across that tribe.
They're in North Dakota, and I spoke at the UN several times, and 2019 was the year of Indigenous languages, and I come across other linguists in the respect of the Mandan tribe was decimated by smallpox, unfortunately. At one point.
Are there any Mandan left today?
Every 2 weeks, Scotty, an indigenous language dies every 2 weeks in the world. Amazonian, Malaysian, Native American, whatever, Caribbean, they pass on. And the Mandan, unfortunately, in 2011, the last Mandan Native American died. And they were part of the MHA, which is a reservation in Fort Berthold, North Dakota, was Mandan, Hidatsa, Arikara, the 3 affiliated tribes that they put on a reservation, the American government. They integrated, so there may be some stock left, but the indigenous Mandan language is gone.
Because I know they were talking about the similarities in Welsh, and they were talking about there having been perhaps Welsh settlers or explorers, even pre-Leif Erikson, you know, 1,000 years ago, that came to North America and integrated with some of the Native American tribes there.
Yes.
And that the language, and this is where I thought linguistically you might have run across as Mandan, has so many similarities to Welsh, ancient Welsh, that it was worth pointing out.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's very likely, because I think I spoke with Matt last time in regards to Africans being brought to the first slaves. The first slaves were Arawak and Carib, but they became smallpox off
in Panama.
Other Africans were selling other Africans. Slave trade.
Yeah. There's an African warrior lady called Nzinga. She was queen of Angola. It said that she made a resistance against the Portuguese because they were selling Africans to Brazil, but she made a stand against the Portuguese, and she was able to at least keep the slave trade away from her kingdom for a period of time. Nzinga.
You know, so the first peoples weren't Italiano. It was Vikings, Scandinavians, and Africans that were first to come and integrate with the native people here. So I wouldn't doubt it.
It was Welsh before.
Welsh. And saying that to say
before
that,
the Scandinavians,
I spoke with I spoke at a lecture in Queensborough College in Manhattan, Queens, New York, in regards to the Navajo code talkers. I was filling in for a friend of mine, and we recognized the Navajo because they had encoded their language, so they would say things like, let's move the big turtle to the north, which is let's move a tank, a military tank to the north, and things like that. So there were, even among the Navajo, they wouldn't know, or they call themselves the Dene people. So people don't know that in World War I and in World War II, they used Native American languages, Lakota, but they broke through it. And people don't know that in World War I, they actually used the Welsh language code talkers. There were Welsh code talkers. People don't know that. But they utilized everything and everybody they could to keep it, coded. So
right. But the way how Scotty Roberts was talking about these moon people, he was describing them that they can't take too much sunlight, but at night they tend to move about more. So he made me sound if they were from
characteristics,
like if they were extraterrestrials or something like that. And that frame, it sounded how he put it. Yeah, it fascinated me a bit.
That's what some people have wanted to make out of it. So, by the way, Roger Rabbit has joined the hat party wearing his floral print paperboy hat.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Outstanding, Roger. Outstanding.
Native Americans, I've heard Native Americans, Ruben, talk about use the word when they call extraterrestrials or UFOs. They call them star people. If you ever heard of that expression before, star people. Yeah. Because I've heard
that's a good point.
A few comes to that.
What you're not far from it in many ways, in the sense of most Native American cultures, and I'm sure others too, have either two ways of coming into this world. They either came from the earth, out of caves, caverns, or they came from the Star Nation. So, our creation story is twofold. Where we either came out of the earth or we came out of the stars.
Wasn't it? I wrote about it in one of my books, just in referencing a bunch of different cultures' creation stories. I cannot think of or pronounce the names of the first man and woman. It was Lakota creation story. the first man, the first woman, they came out of the subterranean caverns of the earth and saw sunlight for the first time. Thank you, sweetheart. And they had children. And this is where Iktope first came in, the trickster.
Iktomi, the trickster, yeah.
And
you're right. You're totally right. That's as a tour guide in the Dakotas, in Rapid City, in the Black Hills, in Wyoming, Devil's Tower, and the Badlands Reservation. In the southern part of the Black Hills, near the city of Hot Springs, there is a hole in the ground that there's an interconnection of caves in the Black Hills, which are old dome mountains, and it's called Wind Cave, and several Lakota nations have recognized that as a means of how we came to be. And at one time, we were subterranean, and we were servants to the gods. So if you think of Native Americans as Greeks, they're polytheistic, not monotheistic. Many gods, not just a solo god. So they would come and eat, and we as human beings would serve them and cater to them and look after them. And one of the gods was Iktomi, the trickster, who could shapeshift into a spider or shapeshift into a coyote, which is a common thing for Native Americans. And so he tricked the first two human beings, male and female, out. And the other gods were very upset with that. Now you must teach them. And they let some of the native people go, and they became bison. And so relationship, we call the bison our brother. And the gods also separated the male and female. They put the male in the north and the female in the south. So we call him the wizard of the north. North. And the witch is in the south. So they like times of the month you see the sun rising and the moon setting, and that's the time when they get to see each other. They were lovers at one point, but now they're separated because of that leaving, and so that's kind of the way it goes. But that's the story. So you're right, Scotty. You're very right.
So, well, there you go, Matthew.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, thanks, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks. Okay, Scotty. Bye.
Talk to you. Wear your hat next time.
Okay.
All right.
Scotty, just real quick, I'm gonna have to bounce here pretty soon.
All right.
And Dave, but I put a link on your.
Oh, I saw that.
For my class at noon.
Let me copy that and put that in here. Ruben's got his language class this afternoon.
From 12 to 2 Eastern.
There's 2 links here. Where is it and how to join the Zoom meeting? Let me copy it. I'll just copy that whole post.
Yeah, okay. There's a passcode and an ID, meeting ID. So, and it's through
folks.
Robert Wood, who's putting it on as the host.
If you want to go join Ruben's language class and learn a little Lakota, go on over, see it. That's at noon your time?
Correct.
Which is 11 a.m. our time, 20 minutes from now. So when we're signing off here, Ruben's signing on. You can go join him over there. And
that's been going on for 7 years now. 4 years in Manhattan, NYU, and then the last 3 years on Zoom. And it's not just myself, but it's other Native women and Native Americans on the reservation in Pine Ridge and Wounded Knee, Tom Hollowhorn, and a variety of people from Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Scandinavia, the Netherlands, and people across the U.S., and all talking about Native issues. Very much like this. where everybody's just kind of like a free for all. We're all talking about things. Break out of our isolation because we're all at different places. I'm in New York. Scotty's in Wisconsin.
And I'm in Minnesota.
And
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah, you bet you sure. I used to live in.
It's like talking to all the old farmers out
There you
toward the Dakotas and Minnesota. Yeah, it's going to be a little kind of a cooler rainy season this summer. Yeah, the corn is only going to get so high, don't you know? So, yeah, that's they talk like that out in Litchfield. They got that. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe it's a Scandinavian hangover or something like that. But that's the way you talk to all those old farmers who talk about that. While they're sitting around having coffee.
They also talk about the tuna casserole, the hot dish.
Yeah. Oh, Maggie made the greatest tuna casserole at church last Sunday. We go down to the First Lutheran Church down in Mendot.
Lutheran.
And, Lutheran. Yeah, we're Lutheran.
If
you stay after the service, you can have some of Maggie's tuna casserole. You got to have some of that.
Yeah, I know the natives up there in Cloquet and Duluth.
Yep.
In Duluth.
I like Duluth.
I do too.
I love the North Shore up there.
And Portage. I like
Gumi.
And it's the same thing over in the Yooper country, over in the UP.
Yeah. The Yoopers.
The Yoopers.
So, all right, Ruben. Well, I better let you go so you can prep for your class in now 18 minutes. No, not even.
We'll do this every
12 minutes.
And August 28th, we resume our regular class again. So we're going to try to make weekly every Sunday, but we'll see what we can do.
Fantastic. I'll try to make it over there sometime. All right, brother. Talk to you
Be
soon.
well.
Misu. All right. So Ruben's out. And by the way, I want to say Dave was here and didn't stick around for the goodness of it. He was just leaving. Somebody, who was it? David Otness was talking about caribou season starting tomorrow in Alaska. Well, last year when Raini came home with that 80 pounds plus of salmon, she also brought home we got some caribou in there somewhere. And just last night, I made moose burgers. We had some ground moose. And it was in the freezer since last August. And it was air sealed tight. Delicious. I started by doing sauteed leeks. Chopped up some leeks, sauteed them in butter, and then did some smash moose burgers into the leeks. And of course, the child didn't want any. I made her a burger. I don't want that. It's moose. And so it said it. So she didn't eat it. At 11 o'clock, she came over and said, I'm hungry. And she wants to make a can of SpaghettiOs. I said, absolutely not. I said, if you didn't eat the dinner put before you, you don't get to make a dinner at 11 o'clock at night. So there you go. So her burger was all prepped. It's on a bun. It got put into a bag, put into the fridge. She gets to eat that today. So it was delicious. It tasted like good cow. So you should have stuck around for one, Dave.
I should have.
So anyway, I don't have a whole lot more going on this morning. David Otness says we take 65 moose annually in this town of 1,800 people. Is the moose herd that thick up there that you can wean them by 1,800 moose and still have 1,800 for next year?
Yeah.
Wow.
He said 60.
Oh, I mean 65 moose in a town of 1,800. So Elderberry had bison chili yesterday. That sounds good. I've had bison burgers before. I've gotten ground bison. It's good stuff. It's got a good taste to it. I like it. Sometimes it's just better than a hamburger gets old. And it's in that same family of flavors and tastes. It's just different, richer. All right, guys.
All
You need to
right,
buy,
I've got
buy
lots
a
to
case
do.
of MREs. If child denies you food, you prep for them. Hand them an MRE and send them on their way. I used to have some around here.
I have a can of tactical bacon up on the top of the buffet over there.
Bacon is what? So said the pig. In the middle of it, taking bites of his bacon. Hey, Scott Allen. Didn't see you over there. Has anybody had kangaroo? Never had kangaroo. I've heard wallaby stew is good, though. So, not from firsthand experience. I've just been told. So,
Bear's
that
good
would seem to me
eating.
to be like rat.
Can be
stew
greasy,
or
but
something. What?
bear.
Bear. It's been years since I had bear, but I had some bear meat once. It was very good. Yeah, David Otness, moose is mighty fine. He says no wild taste about it. I didn't get that wildness either, but it was different and it was richer. It was gooder than just a regular burger. Yeah, go ahead, David. Post that poem on this page. Go ahead. Depends on where you're posting from. If it's in the chat room here, go right ahead. And it'll be there as an eternal part of this show, as long as YouTube doesn't collapse. Romeldian isn't sure if he wants beer. You've never had a beer, Romeldian? Well, you got to have the right kind of beer, first of all. I still got this sitting on my desk. There's a good one. It's not technically beer, it's a stout, but a little Guinness draft. Boom, there you go. It's unopened, just sitting on my desk, waiting for the right moment. There's a beer. Just don't eat bread with it. Drinking a can of Guinness is like eating a loaf of bread. And hunting black bear. I still would love to have, and I wouldn't kill an animal just to have his coat for my rug, but if I could come across a bear rug, I would love to have a bear rug, a black bear rug, on the floor in front of my fireplace, where I can put my naked wife. Mm-hmm. Would she be bear anymore if she's on a bear rug? It's worth experimenting. You sleeping over there, Uncle Dave?
No, I'm reading the chat room.
Oh.
Have
So,
the
folks, I think we're going to
second
wrap it.
device going.
We usually go to about 11 o'clock, or we quit a little early, depends on what we're doing. Unless anybody has anything they need to talk about, now is your opportunity. It's like doing ghost hunting. You can speak into this device. This is our last time. We're going to go out after this, unless anybody has something to say. Would you like to speak into this box? Can you tell us your name?
Did you use Ellery for a coffee remote a little bit ago?
Yes, I did.
I
I said, I put my mic on mute and I said, go take this cup and fill it, please. So, cheers.
You're lucky it came back with coffee in it.
She, of course, complained.
Yeah.
That's why I had the mic on mute.
Had a nice chat with Bryn and Abby yesterday, too.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, they both called yesterday.
Yeah.
Kids talked to them. So I like about my older kids. They love their younger siblings. Even though they're technically half siblings, different mom, same dad, my kids have never recognized that. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So if you accidentally run over a bear, you get to keep the hide?
Really?
I don't know. I'm wondering. There
So
have
I
been
know
two black bears in the last 2 weeks run over by cars right here in our neighborhood or our area. So,
Really?
yep. So,
Huh.
I'd love to get a buffalo hide with the buffalo skin and
Yep.
fur on it. We'll see one of these days, maybe. I wouldn't though. My preferences. I wouldn't go kill an animal just so I could have his hide.
No, but there are
put on my living room
ranches
floor.
that are raising bison
Yep.
for
Yep.
meat, and they must do something with those hides. They must
And they
sell
do
them.
something with the hides. Yeah, they sell them. I'm sure they have them prepped and sold. So I need to get one of those one of these days. All right. So there we go. That's all we got for today, folks. I want to thank you for coming in. Thanks for being here. Uncle Dave, I'm going to send you toddling along your way.
Yep, I've got
Thanks.
things to do. So
Thanks for being here, brother.
Yep.
I love you. I'll see you later. All right, guys. That's it for today. Remember, all week long, we have the Intrepid radio program. Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central is when we start, which is 10 p.m. Central out east, 7 p.m. Central out west, 8 p.m. if you're in the middle and mountain time. So all night this week, Monday through Friday, we invite you to be here. Thanks for being here this morning. It's a nice way to launch a quiet Sunday morning. And so you all go on your way, on your day, and have a good day. And we'll see you again, hopefully, tomorrow night. So everybody, live long and prosper.